Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dima Tutorials Ask Class. Dima Tutorials Ask Class is an educational channel that is dedicated to helping students who are sitting for an exam on government and literature. Okay, in case you didn't know, I have another channel called Dima Tutorials. So if you haven't seen the channel, please go and check it out. Dima Tutorials is for English and literature as well. Okay, so go and check it out. Now today we're going to look at some questions from Jamb past questions, Jamb government past questions. In my recent previous video, I stopped at question 32 of Jamb 2021 government past questions. So today I'm going to start from question 33. Okay. The foreign policy of Nigeria is centered on Africa because of her. We have option A, membership of OAU, B, membership of ECOWAS, C, concern for and attention to African problems, and D, commitment to end colonialism in Africa. Now, Nigeria's foreign policy gravitated around Africa and issues affecting the continent because of its interest and concern about African problems. Now, it's estimated that Nigeria has spent over 60 billion USD, that is US dollars, in financial assistance to countries in Africa, not to mention the human cost. Nigeria supplied troops to Congo, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Somalia, Cote d'Ivoire, and other African countries during their crisis. So Nigeria's foreign policy gravitates around African issues because they're interested in the issues affecting Africa, okay? They're interested in issues affecting Africa. So Nigerian foreign policy is not centered on Africa because she's a member of OAU or because she's a member of ECOWAS, okay? But because it's concerned about Africa, okay? It has concern and attention to African problems, okay? So option C is the correct answer, okay? Now let's see. Option D is not correct. You already know commitment to end colonialism in Africa. Okay, so that's not the reason Nigeria's foreign policy is centered on Africa. Okay, it's centered on Africa because it's concerned about the problems of Africa, which is why when African countries, even Caribbean, had problems, had civil wars. Okay, Nigeria supplied troops to them and also had financial assistance given to those countries. So their focus is on helping African countries. They kind of played a big brother role, okay, in Africa. They played a big brother role in Africa because of the way it intervened in matters concerning other African countries, okay. Now let's see the next question. We have 34. The major organization through which Nigeria pursues her economic, political, military, and social interests in West Africa is option A, ECOWAS, B, ADB, C, ECA, and D, OAU. The major organization through which Nigeria pursues her economic, political, military, and social interests is through ECOWAS Economic Community of West African States. Okay. Now, ECOWAS has its main objective as engendering economic interests within the member states. Okay, so the main purpose of ECOWAS is to engender economic interest, economic development, economic interactions. Okay, within the member states. Now, countries in ECOWAS can interact economically with each other. Like people living in Nigeria can do businesses in Ghana and other ECOWAS countries. They can live in other ECOWAS countries, okay, without having to go through the hassles of getting a visa, and can also do businesses in other ECOWAS countries, like I said. Um, Nigerian businesses, some multinational businesses in Nigeria, okay, can easily have their branches in other ECOWAS countries, okay, and businesses in other ECOWAS countries can also establish their branches in Nigeria, and Nigeria will get some revenues from the tax they pay in Nigeria. So politically, economically, And socially, Nigeria has benefited from ECOWAS. Okay, now for example, the formation of Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU) was mandated by Intergovernmental Action Group against money laundering in West Africa. Okay, so economically, militarily, politically, socially, Nigeria pursues its interests through ECOWAS. Okay, not ADB or ECA or OAU, but through ECOWAS. Okay. Now let's look at question 35. A state is admitted into the United Nations on the a state is admitted into the United Nations on the we have option A, recommendation of the Secretary General to the Security Council. Option B, concurrent vote of Security Council and the General Assembly. C, enabling action of the General Assembly. And D, sponsorship of any member of the organization. Now, the correct answer to this question is option A, okay? Recommendation of the Secretary General to the Security Council. Now, here's the procedure for admitting new members into the UN, okay? Now, first, that is the state that wants to become a member of the UN, submits an application to the Secretary General of the UN and a letter that states its acceptance to the obligations under the Charter, okay? The state that wants to become a member of the UN will submit an application and a letter that states it accepts obligations of the UN. Okay. Now, the next stage is that the Security Council considers the application and votes for it or against it. Now, it can only pass through this stage, okay, if 9 out of 15 members of the Security Council votes for it, okay. That is 9 out of the 15 members of the Security Council supports the country or the state to join the UN, and none of the 5 permanent members, including China, France, Russia, the UK, Northern Ireland, and the US votes against it. Okay. Now, for it to pass through this stage, none of these 5 countries will vote against it. Okay. None of these 5 countries will vote against it, and it must have 9 out of 15 votes of the members of the Security Council. Now, after it has passed through the Security Council, the next thing is that it's recommended to the General Assembly. Okay, the Security Council would recommend it to the General Assembly, who votes for it or against it. Okay, now for the country to be accepted into the UN, the General Assembly must have 2/3 majority voting for it. Okay, it must have a vote of 2/3 majority for it to be admitted into the UN. Okay, now let's go back to the question. Okay, like I said, option A is the correct answer. A state is admitted into the UN, that's the United Nations, on the recommendation of the Secretary General to the Security Council. The Secretary General to the Security Council is the one that recommends the intending state to the Security Council. Okay, so option A is the correct answer. Not option B, concurrent votes of the Security Council and General Assembly. Okay, when you talk about concurrent vote, that means they have to vote concurrent, like simultaneously, the same time. Okay, so it's not correct, and that doesn't happen. Option C, we have enabling action of the General Assembly, and D, we have sponsorship of any member of the organization. So none of this is correct. So the correct answer is option A. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. We have 36. The highest policy making body of the OAU is the we have option A, Economic and Social Commission, B, Council of Ministers, C, General Secretariat, D, Assembly of Heads of State and Government. Now, the correct answer to this question is option D. Option D, we have Assembly of Heads of State and Government. Okay. Now, the most important decision of AU, I hope you know that OAU that was established on 25th May 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, was disbanded on 9th July 2002 and replaced with AU, which is African Union, okay? African Union. Now, the most important decisions of the AU are made by the Assembly of the African Union, okay? The Assembly of the African Union is made up of the head of states and government of its member states, okay? The head of states and government of its member states. So the correct answer, like I said, is option D, Assembly of Heads of States and Government, okay? Now, that'll be all for today. I hope you learned something new from today's video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. If you've not subscribed already, click on the like button and share the video to your friends, okay? Please, I need you guys to subscribe to the channel to boost the video on YouTube and also enable you see my older videos. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I have another channel, Dima Tutorials. And if you are sitting for use of English, make sure you visit the channel and see the videos I have for you guys there, okay? Thank you very much for watching and see you in another video. Bye bye.